hello.
This is the episode that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, it's longly anticipated. It's been a long time. What is that? It's been it's not longly. That's not a word.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. You've been hearing about it for the past
3 episodes.
3 episodes, so like 3 weeks. We're here to talk about Hannah's frontal lobe.
We are here to talk about the maturation. The frontal lobe.
The frontal lobe hardening. Now, shall we just... Hannah, what is the frontal lobe?
Now, I have got Google AI onto this because I'll be totally honest with you. I actually do want to do some reading and information about this, but like I haven't done it yet. And you know, people have like lots of thoughts, but this is what Google AI overview is telling us. The frontal lobe, particularly the prefrontal cortex, continues to develop and mature well into the early to mid-20s, with most studies suggesting full maturation around 25. So what is the frontal lobe?
Hannah's a year early.
No,
Not
I'm
really.
not. It's
6
literally 3
months.
months, really.
3 months.
4 months. 3 months. I don't know.
Whatever.
What is the frontal lobe? The frontal lobe, also known as the prefrontal cortex, is the part of the brain responsible for higher level cognitive functions like decision making, planning, problem solving, and impulse control. Why is it important? A fully developed prefrontal cortex is crucial for making sound judgments, understanding consequences, and regulating emotions and impulses. So the development timeline, the prefrontal cortex is one of the last areas of the brain to fully mature. It continues to develop into your mid-20s, and it's cited as maturing around the age of 25, which means that in adolescence and early adulthood, individuals will still be developing the skills and abilities associated with a fully mature prefrontal cortex. So basically, it means that young adults may be more likely to make impulsive or less rational decisions. And it is important to remember that brain development is a gradual process, and individuals may not have the same level of maturity in all areas of the brain at the same time.
I've decided it's snack time.
I can see that.
It was really informative.
Yeah.
I know, but like there is a point in our podcast episode filming where it becomes snack time.
I need to do more research, and you know, we will probably come back in a conversation about this because I'm really, really interested in it. Both people who
We'll do an episode when mine's done.
Oh gosh, we've got to wait 4 years, have we? Golly gosh, darling, I've been really posh then. Anyway,
do you know what's wild?
What?
We were talking about this. Do you remember? I don't know if you're going to remember this because you've not mentioned it. We were talking about this not that long ago, and you were telling me about how much longer we were going to have to wait because neurodivergent people
takes longer.
And then, like, literally, like 2 weeks later, she was like, it's happened.
I know. No, but sorry, it was literally like being enlightened or something. Like, it was actually feral. I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Because the thing is, right, sorry.
The laptop's shut. Google AI, no more. Talk to me, Hannah.
Okay, we all know that I spent like a large amount of my, you know, late teenage years in psychiatric inpatient. And I remember constantly, like my psychiatrist, my last CAM psychiatrist and CAM psychologist from the community, they were literally like, by the time you're 25, because I'm like, obviously they're like crying, like I literally want to die. And they were like, by the time you're 25, honestly, if you can make it to 25, you won't be this bad. And I was like, you absolute, like, insert any kind of blasphemy, rude word. No, it's not. And I can't, because actually, like, I did not believe it would happen. I didn't believe that it was even a thing. But literally, it was almost as if it happened overnight. But it obviously didn't happen overnight. But it was literally like 2 weeks. And I literally rang up Beverly. I was like, Beverly, my frontal lobe has formed. And obviously Beverly was like, like, no.
And since then, nobody has heard anything else but the fact that her frontal lobe has now formed.
Because it's crazy. Like, the change.
To be fair, when you've told me about certain situations and you've gone, and I reacted that way because my frontal lobe is fully developed, and I thought, yeah, actually, I think it has, because...
Vintage said the same thing.
Because you've really, like, that, especially that thing about impulse control. Your impulse control is mad strong at the moment.
I know.
If you think about Mount View
last year, I was feral. How feral was I? I was feral.
So feral. And it was like iconic, and it was like it was fine. Like, nobody's saying that the way that, like, I found it quite entertaining, and actually it's very like well, I don't want to say that sounds like I'm exploiting you for
No,
your, but you know, I could laugh about it and also like accept that like that's who you were,
Yeah.
and I don't. But
and
it is interesting.
I think like I am so like I don't think it's gonna make me a boring person.
No,
The
the idea that you would ever be boring, Hannah, is wild.
because I think like, you know, and this is what's so interesting about the frontal lobe hardening, or the forming, or whatever you want to call it. Because like last night we went to Starlight Express, because obviously this is all being filmed on the same day, because obviously like, yeah,
we have to pre-record. Let's be real.
Yeah, so
there's like, do you? What I don't think anybody understands, and we are going to talk about for a second, is how difficult it is to get to Hannah's house in London. It is the most ridiculous journey. Bearing in mind, from Bournemouth to London, it's an hour and a half. It takes me longer to get from central London to her house.
Can I just say though, the reason I live here is very convenient for Beverly. Straight down the M1. Boom. And then there's South Mim Services, it's got Pizza Express.
Does she have to pay the low emissions
No.
charge?
That's what I mean. That's why it's easy for Beverly. She didn't have to pay. She's just booming it down the M1 when she's allowed to come.
Because I was gonna drive.
You'd have to make sure you go around the outside. It depends when your reg plate is, because the outside bit of the low emissions, like it's when you're well, Beverly's car's like not new, but it is like an EcoBoost or maybe.
My car's quite new.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Beverly. Like, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, no, sorry,
but
we're
not in the central, because the central she'd have to pay if she went into the central bit. But
yeah,
the low emissions bit is different. There's like two costs, and so she doesn't cover the. But you'd have to like go around the outside of London.
Yeah, but I thought that would actually be more convenient.
You probably would be quicker actually, also because you're going the opposite way of the M25. Or because it is the M25, wouldn't it be? Would you get the M25?
Yeah, sure. I'm really bad at roads.
Awful, the M25 is. But because of Beverly's thing, she just comes straight down the M1, like literally straight down the M1. I'm not going to say where I live because, you know, stalkers.
Well, yeah. But getting to Hannah's house is, like, literally, I mean, it didn't help. I got on the wrong tube. And
that added time.
There were... But actually...
Who gets on the Jubilee line? No one gets on the Jubilee line ever.
Because I actually could have... Because then when I was looking at my phone, it was saying that I could have got the Jubilee line. I could have got the Jubilee line.
Yeah, because you have to do like multiple lines anyway.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, it's just a pain in the balls. I don't mind it because it's actually worth it when I get here and I see Hannah and I get to see Tarmac, the cat. And then it's fine. But like, it's a ball ache.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not doing that weekly. Thank you very much. So I don't have the money. Let's be real. Do any of us have the money?
No, because TfL are absolutely taking
us for a ride.
So
not just on their trains.
Oh, joke.
Anyway, carry on.
What I don't know what I was talking about. My frontal lobe.
We were talking about how you went to see Starlight Express last night.
Oh yeah, and like,
and so did I. I don't know why.
And I was like, I'm still making my comments, but I don't think that isn't because my prefrontal, like that. The thing is, that doesn't mean that my prefrontal lobe isn't formed. Basically, the difference is though, is that like what has changed is that I can still be in like say things and I can still like not agree with things, but I don't end up in this dangerous of situations. And I'm so much more level-headed.
You are. And like even yesterday, normally, like, you know, because basically I was having a real, and when I tell you I can normally navigate London really quite well.
Allegedly,
yeah, but Hannah barely lives in London. Anyway, we're not having that discussion, but
I live in London. I have a London postcode.
Yeah, you do have a London postcode.
So I live in London.
Yeah, but how does it take? Like, why does it?
Because London's a big place.
Why have you gone so northern?
I don't know.
Anyway, I had done a navigating faux pas, and I was getting to
very different parts of London.
Very different parts of London, but have very similar names, don't they?
Okay, they have the same initial letter, and they have two separate words.
They have the same start. Like the first syllable of the words are the same. Anyway,
first three letters.
And I think I've got there is an actual thing where like you get really mixed up when words have like the same start. And
there is a thing I have seen that. Is it not dyslexia?
No, I don't have dyslexia.
No, but it's not.
I think it might be part of dyslexia.
Yeah,
but I'm really bad. Like hernias and hemorrhoids, I get confused all that. Like I couldn't even tell you which one's the same, and which one's which.
Do you not know that? Oh gosh.
Sure. No, because they're just the same word to me. Things like that. Anyway, I'm actually going to say it's ableism that Hannah was giving me such a hard time for this yesterday. She wasn't, and also it's not ableism. Anyway. I'll probably cut that out because, let's be real, we don't need to.
That was bollocks, really. It was absolute fake news.
Anyway, I'd got two very different stations in very different locations of London confused. I mean, yeah.
You
anyway.
had.
I had. And so the travel time was longer than I had anticipated, and therefore that I had told Hannah. And you were so cool yesterday. You were just so cool, calm and collected.
Yeah.
You were just like, we were just on the tube and she was like, right, we're just not going to get off here. And I was like, Lordy Lord, for somebody who like, when we've spoken about travelling, she's been like, you are going to need to do all the planning.
Yeah. It's the frontal lobe. Because before then I was literally like so bad. Like I would just can't do anything. But now my frontal lobe, like I'm just, you know, I've just had I had a really negative situation that happened like about less than a month ago, beginning of March, and in the past that would have been like R.I.P. Hannah, but I've literally handled it like with grace and decorum,
like
demure.
When she was explaining it to me,
I should have been dead. Beverly was like, "Why aren't you dead?" No, she didn't. Well, actually, no, she did, but
the way you were explaining it to me, I can't even fully comprehend how like. You know when someone tells you something, but they tell it to you in a way that you're like what you're saying sounds really bad, but the way you're saying it makes it sound like it's really not a big deal. Yeah. I was like, that's wild.
So wild.
Honestly, if you knew the situation, Mount View people, it was not far off.
No, it wasn't far off. In a different context, but like similar vibes.
Mount View people will know.
And yeah, it was like...
And she was fine.
Literally.
She just walked away.
I mean, like...
That's going to be another episode.
I had a flashback. Like, I had an emotional flashback in the space that I was in. And I was, like, literally shaking. And obviously, like, I wasn't, like, great in the moment. But, like, so much better than I've ever been. But just the overall situation. And it just does... I want to say to, like, people who feel so strongly, like... who have that rejection sensitive dysphoria, and who are probably neurodivergent, and like who, when things happen, it like does feel like the end of your world. And, like, believe me, it normally is, but
it's not.
It's actually not, and it gets better. Like, I would never believed anybody when they said that like something like that happened, that I could like actually. Obviously, like, I've lived with every single situation because I'm still here. But, like, in the moment when those things happen, the pain, and only people who've been there can understand, like, of how uncomfortable, and you can't even sit in that feeling because it feels so bad. And although in the initial moment it kind of still felt really uncomfortable, you can deal with it. And actually, when you deal with it, it's actually better because you end up not ever being not being in the wrong in the situation because you don't overreact, which is iconic. And the overreaction is so valid because I would, and it's not an overreaction. It's a complete.
It's just a reaction.
A reaction, but what maybe other people would perceive as an overreaction.
I mean, crying on the floor, saying you're going to be put in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I mean,
iconic.
And to be fair, like we may, but I think it's so interesting because like I do think part of it, like is like definitely linked with. Now I've obviously been on my ADHD medication for over a year, and like I have changed so much, and I think it's really interesting because I imagine the people who are listening, like still at the moment, like especially to this podcast, are going to be like people who like know me from maybe from Mount View, and like around those kind of times, like in and around.
Yeah.
And like I think the person I am now from the person who started Mount View is like a 360-degree change. Because even like when I started Chicken Shed in the beginning of September, like the head of my course was like, when she spoke to me the other day, was like, oh my god, you've changed already like a ridiculous amount, even between like now and then. And I think like the change, but then if you went back to like, I think it's funny, well, it's not funny, but like funny in a non-ha-ha kind of way, like
not funny ha, funny weird.
Like, you know, I think a lot of people who know me, especially like from my Mount View around that time, was like, obviously I was not necessarily the most stable individual. However, if we had Beverly in this room right now, that to Beverly was stable. I think this is when we go into like, when I do not joke, like when I tell you, like most people who know me now would not recognize that person. Like I don't recognize that person. And I do think it's, you know, it speaks volumes of, especially mental health services. Like it's very interesting, like, because the way some of them treated me when I was poorly was disgusting. Like, and like I think they forget that like people are people, which is just feral, which is not actually the point of this, my lobe conversation. But I do think it is like, and I keep kind of like waiting, like I'm here and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the next, when a situation happens, like am I going to revert back to my other way of reacting? And like I don't even believe in my frontal lobe. I do need to do more research about my frontal lobe, because I think it's so interesting. But like it is amazing how I am just, it is, and obviously that doesn't mean I don't get upset, and obviously I still get upset, wildly angry. The other day, like Baby had to actually turn me down on FaceTime because I was ranting so much. So I do still love a rant, but I just,
Who doesn't love a rant?
Exactly. And but I do think like, it is crazy how just that ability to problem solve, it is that thing to like be able to like put things in perspective. I think like it is, and just to be able to be a bit more like, and I can, you know, and I've often been able to see things from both sides, but to be able to like articulate that while still not invalidating my own point. Do you have any more questions about frontal lobes?
No, but I just think it's wild. Frontal lobes, the fact that like most things that happen, you don't really realise. Most of the like things that are happening in your body, you don't really realise are happening in your body. But whenever anyone talks about their frontal lobe, they're like, you just know when it's, when it clicks.
You do. And I didn't believe that you would just know, but you just know. You do just know.
I want to know. I want it to happen. I'm so excited. It's like,
you will know, but
I'm going to throw a party. I'm going to plan a frontal lobe party.
Okay.
I do think frontal lobe, like, out of context does sound
weird, yeah. And I think there's obviously like a lot of like controversy on like the different like types of like how the whole frontal lobe thing is going on. But I do like genuinely, there is a difference, and I do think that it explains a lot, because like that thing of like even speaking to Millie now, like obviously, can we just to clarify, like when I was Millie's age, I will be the first one to put my hands up and say I was a feral individual. So like this is no shade towards Millie, because me at 2021, like let's just say, you know, Section 3 of the Mental Health Act, we need to say no more. But even now, speaking to Millie, now that my frontal lobe has formed, you can tell a difference. Like and I think that's so interesting, though. But I think that gives hope to all of the young people who are...
Doesn't give hope to me.
Although, they say, no, why doesn't it give you hope? You've got like 3 years.
No, I do.
It does discovery.
It does give me hope. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for my frontal lobe. It's been fascinating me. That's why I was talking to you about it when I said it's going to happen to you soon.
Yeah.
And you were like,
no, I didn't think it was.
Not. And then it did.
I know, because they said about neurodivergent people, like it takes, like, can be till 30. And I was thinking, absolutely not.
No, because if that happens to me, I'll cry. I can't be 30.
No, but do you know what I think, though?
I can't throw a frontal lobe party when I'm 30. I'll probably be throwing a baby shower.
Oh gosh, I won't ever be doing that.
I want a baby.
Okay, that's clearly not a frontal lobe decision.
True. I'm just looking at pictures of the frontal lobe.
Yeah, it's the front bit of your brain.
I know, but I thought it was just going to be like a little bit, but no, it's like a good like third of your brain.
Yeah, but can you think about the person I was? Like, imagine like 6 months ago, like how feral was I? And like, I don't
You're an absolute icon. No, 6 months ago you weren't that feral. Around like 9 to 10 months ago.
like a year. This time last year,
a year ago, you were feral.
I was really feral.
I mean, the wheelbarrow conversation
That
was the best thing ever. No, please, because that has to. Hannah is very, very talented and is writing a one-woman show. I went to see a bit of it the other day when she performed it. It was actually a few weeks ago, and it was very good. But I think you should put your the wheelbarrow in that.
Into that,
please. No, please.
Okay,
please. I know it's a one-woman show, but please, can I wheel you on in a wheelbarrow? Can I wheel you on in a wheelbarrow at the start of the show?
Okay, well, I will look into getting a wheelbarrow into the show, and you can wheel me on. Yes,
and I'm going to be stage manager. I'm going to be basically producer.
But you know what? I do think that should be an episode. Like some of my one-liners that I've come out with, like that does need to be
iconic. Yeah,
they do. That does need to be like aired, but obviously no defamation.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
look at the defamation. But to be fair, that the wheelbarrow one, which we're gonna say, because I have to keep them coming back. You got to keep listening. We will set like however many listens we need before I will divulge my wheelbarrow story, because you know we've got to get the people liking, subscribing, following.
Exactly. When we're up to how many listens? 200.
Yeah, and we've got 200. We've got to have 200 across the board. It's like 200 like streams, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But also 200 on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Then I will divulge the wheelbarrow story.
Then
and you'll be liking. And can we have 20? Let's go 25 star reviews on the pod.
25-star reviews. You hear it here.
And I will divulge the wheelbarrow.
200 streams, 200 follows,
20
5-star reviews.
And when that happens, I will divulge the wheelbarrow story.
There's your target, guys.
Because that's actually no defamation to anybody. I mean, slight defamation to the person, but
not really.
Not really, because it was taken.
Although, you know,
it was suggested. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No,
they can't know because they got away. They've got away.
Okay, yeah, but
10 to hooks, 10 to hooks,
and then 10 to hooks,
10 to hooks, darlings.
The like emphasis on the hooks instead of 10 to. Is it 10 to hooks?
I don't know.
And you're okay. 10 to hooks. 10 to hooks. Did you hear my dad when we were on not on FaceTime? We called my parents because I had exciting news, and then Hannah was saying something, and then she went, "Yes, because my frontal lobe is fully developed now." And my dad went, "Oh Christ!"
But anyway, when you do sit down with Jill and David next time, you do need to like be like, I know she mentioned her frontal lobe a lot, but actually, you could tell a difference, can't you? Like, be honest to the pod.
I can, but like not like I've not. There's nothing. No. Oh no, I have. Because I said like about the travel. Yeah, that's true.
And
like I will. No, I can notice a difference.
And I came and found you yesterday without like, and I dealt with the fact that sorry, but like, you are my bestie, and I actually love you to pieces. But the most un-autism friendly person for organising anything. You are feral.
I am.
But how good was I? Because normally I end up crying about that whole thing, but I was so chill the whole time.
And I felt really bad.
No, but it's fine because my frontal lobe's formed now, so it's okay.
The thing is
but it used to really get me. Like, I can't cope. I couldn't cope.
Yeah,
it's actually like my autism was like, I really struggled. And Millie, I love you to pieces, but you are a fucking nightmare to organise.
I know, because I've got too much going on. And the thing is,
but I can understand because I used to be like that, but also like sort it out.
No, I know. Yeah, and I did keep saying that, didn't I? I said sorry because I'm being the most unautism friendly person.
It was fine though because my frontal lobe had formed.
Yeah, and also because you love me to pieces.
Yeah,
and also
I'm getting better now.
In fairness to me though,
it was better. To be fair, like it's all about bars, and like let me real. I know people who are a lot worse than you.
It's all about bars. But also, no. Can we just talk about the fact? Quite often, I am the one travelling to you. So although I am unautism friendly in the sense that I am quite a pain to organise.
Yes, no.
I am autism friendly in the fact that I'm not making you get a train.
That is very true. Yes, I'll take that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the one time that I did, oh my god, I literally nearly ended up dead in Clapham Junction. That was horrific.
It was
that was bad.
That was bad because I was waiting for her in Woking.
It was
and
so
I just
bad.
got this phone call of her just
sobbing
on
the floor, crying.
Okay, right.
There were so many.
When we get to 500 streams, we'll tell that story.
That's like literally. They're honestly like we've got.
But now I think that your frontal lobe has developed. I think you could do it.
I think I could.
I probably wouldn't travel at that time.
No, I wouldn't. That was awful.
I don't mind doing that, but that's because I'm a night person. Whereas
I'm not.
A night
person. I do not enjoy hot stuffy also the other issue with that, actually no, we're not telling the story, are we, because of that's partly a health reason as well, like why I couldn't like I was literally,
it was not ideal.
No, but it's not even that isn't, although I'm not someone, I don't enjoy traveling. Like I will probably be the first person to put my hand up and say like I never want to go traveling. Like that's not my, like I'm not a traveler like in that respect. Like it's not what I enjoy doing. But no, it's more the like what it's just, to be fair, this time wasn't that bad, but it's just like the disorganization. That's why I can't. Like it's like, oh, I'm coming this, no, I'm coming this, then I'm coming then, and I'm like, but to be fair, this time wasn't actually that, and I wasn't actually that bothered this time. I think it's because I didn't have I think it's probably, you know what it is, when I have like so many things going on that like I have to fit something into a small period of time, and then you have. It's really hard, but like I'm now getting so much better, whereas I think you're now at the stage that I used to be in when you have like you said yes to too many things, whereas I'm now really quite good at saying no, so I don't actually have as many things, so it's easier, so I can cope with the fact of like the flexibility. But you'll take your time, your frontal lobe hasn't formed.
No, I am quite
shocked every time Hannah says frontal lobe in this episode.
Don't, because you'll probably end up in hospital.
Shot of green tea.
That was the most horrific thing you've ever said. That was the least funny thing I think you've ever said in your whole entire life, Hannah.
Oh dear.
That was bad. I didn't enjoy it. But no, I was thinking that the other day. I was like, it's been a long time since I've had like all my free time is unexpected. Like I don't have much planned free time.
It used to be like tricky, but that's why you need to listen to our episode last week. Take a break.
Take a break. Run away with us for the summer. Let's go upstairs.
We may do another episode about frontal lobes once Hannah's done more research into it, because
and once Millie's has developed.
No, well, we may not.
We can't do 3 episodes.
Yes, we can, because 3 years time, the science will all be different by then.
Okay, brilliant.
And also by then, I'll be like nearly 30, so then it'll be like your frontal lobe will have formed, and like I'll probably like.
That's so weird that
my ovaries will have dried up. As they keep telling me.
Not 40, 30, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, calm down. Am I going to like exponentially grow?
I don't know.
Who knows what I'll be 28, 29. Like that's so mature.
That's so crazy.
I'll probably have like 6 cats, 4 children, and 8 grandchildren. You never what?
I'll be in New York.
You'll be in New York. Well, then it will definitely be a virtual episode because I can't get to New York even with my frontal lobe. Awkward. We hope you've enjoyed this really random.
It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? But Hannah's really obsessed with her frontal
lobe. I'm so obsessed.
And to be honest, I am too.
If you've got to the end of this episode and you think your frontal lobe has formed, can you just like comment the brain emoji? The brain emoji and a thumbs up. And if you have any frontal lobe stories, please send them to us because I am fascinated with this. Hannah's obsessed with it at the moment as well. But I would like to say that I found my obsession with this before Hannah got her frontal lobe. I know, but is that crazy? That's so because I didn't even realise you. I knew you. I remember you mentioning it, but I didn't. I wasn't obsessed, but I don't know how. Like it was. I never even really thought about my frontal lobe because I thought it was gonna be like 30. I literally thought it was gonna be 30 because I was neurodivergent, and then it just came and I just knew. But yeah, please do send us your frontal lobe stories because that's really interesting. I'm just really excited. And yeah, see you next week. See you next week. Bye. Bye.